Greetings. Welcome. I want to invite everybody to join us for our Sunday service this morning. And regardless of what time it is that you're looking at this, regardless of where it is that you are in the world, just welcome. We so appreciate having you with us. And just a reminder, we are still sheltering in place. So I am not in our sanctuary. I am in the prayer room in our center. As most of us around the nation, I dare say so many around the world right now are quote unquote sheltering in place because of the COVID-19 virus and trying to stop the mitigation and the spread of it. But Lord works in mysterious ways. There's something about this time that is making us even get more connected. There's so much activity that's happening in the virtual world right now, so that it isn't just a question of waiting until Sunday morning to get fed, that people all over the place are finding such exquisite things here, there, and all throughout the week, being inspired and nurtured and sustained, and pass along those good things that you're running into to other people. And please inform people about what we're doing here at Inner Light. We have a vision here of an empowered world. Inner Light Ministries is an omni-faith outreach ministry, and we're dedicated to spiritual transformation. Our aim is healing through the energy of love and the revealing of our own inner light. We provide tools for living that provide and encourage you to practically apply universal spiritual principles to all of life's circumstances. As an omni-faith outreach ministry, we embody spiritual oneness, we appreciate individualized expressions, and we honor all paths that lead to truth. You know, I really miss gathering in person. I miss having everybody around and the band and our choir. This ordinarily would be a choir Sunday, that rhythm and that feeling. And, life goes on. And we have an exquisite musical artist with us today who's going to be bringing us just some beautiful, beautiful music. I will introduce him a little formally in a minute after he gives us the first offering. But I want everybody to just settle in for a little while. For the next hour or so, prepare your mind, prepare your consciousness to be fed. There's so much going on, and we're so busy being busy, whether you're trying to homeschool your kids or check on people or work from home with all the other things that are going on. But let's just take this moment right now to simply be, to simply be. So I want you to take a deep breath, and I invite my brother, I call him the nutcracker because he just cracks open that heart space, Mr. Charles Holt, to give us our first offering.
Rolling river God, little stones are smooth, only once the water passes through. Now I am a stone, rough and grainy still, trying to reconcile this river's chill. But when I close my eyes and feel you rushing by, I know that time brings change, and change takes time. And when the sunset comes, my prayer will be just one, that you might pick me up and notice that I am just a little smoother in your hands. Sometimes raging wild, sometimes swollen high, but never have I known this river dry. The deepest part of you is where I want to stay and feel the sharpest edges wash away. But when I close my eyes and feel you rushing by, I know that time brings change, and change takes time. And when the sunset comes, my prayer will be just one, that you might pick me up and notice I am I'm just a little smoother in your hands. Rolling river God, these little stones are smooth. It's only once the water passes through.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Charles, Mr. Charles Holt. As we were doing the sound check on Friday, I was telling Charles that song and his voice has a very, 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 very special place in my heart. He sang that song here at the Inner Light Center on 9/11/11. I remember because it's on the CD cover. And I am not exaggerating when I am saying I was going through a really tough period then. And I literally played that song about 30 times a day, every day for maybe a good 5 years. Yeah, just breathe that in for a second. And you know what? It sunk in, and it took hold. And if anybody has known me for any amount of time, I think it has become obvious that the hard edges have have gotten smooth, and continue to get smoother. I got a beautiful spirit download one time that even said, my reverend daughter, yes, I have noticed how much smoother you are in my hands. It's just really, 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 really exquisite. Let's just breathe that in. So it's beginning of May 2020, and we're starting a new theme. And our theme this month is abundance. It's abundance. And the topic today is living in plenitude. Living in plenitude. Every week we always have affirmative activations. These aren't just affirmations that you say and like wish and hope. That the energy of these is designed to help you recalibrate. They are designed to activate an energetic field within you so that you resonate with and are able to become an actual embodiment of the thing that you are declaring. So we invite you to take these affirmative activations. You can find them on the website. You'll find them there, posted on Facebook. Come back and use them over and over and over again till it really sinks in. We're going to share today's affirmative activations. And I invite you to, if you're looking on a screen, to say them with me. There's something about having it resonate in your own voice, in your own body, that helps it sink in a little bit more. The universe is a storehouse of infinite possibility. I focus more on the truth of possibility than so-called facts. Anchored in prosperity consciousness, I am never swayed by appearances. I live in plenitude. My steps are divinely ordered. I am steady and sure-footed. With third eye open, I discern beyond what I see. I pierce through illusions and see perfect patterns of abundance. In the radiance of prosperity, lack and limitation simply dissipate. I rise above fear. Doubt has no hold on me. I live in trust and dwell in enoughness. Nothing stands in the way of my highest good. Just let that sink in for a moment. And it is with great pleasure that I want to share a little bit with you about our musical inspiration, Charles Holt. One of the advantages of us doing everything virtually is that we are able to tap into musical inspiration that's all over the place. We don't necessarily have to be in the same room at the same time. And so many of our favorite artists are usually touring. They're usually out and traveling around, and it's kind of hard to sync schedules. So I'm very honored that we have some of our favorites who are able to be with us. Next week, we're going to have Karen Drucker for Mother's Day. And on May 17th, we're going to have Nadine Risha. So we're just lining them up here, and so appreciative of our band and our choir that still continues to meet, still continues to rehearse, and is going to be looking forward to be able to minister when we can all come back together in community. So Charles Holt is a gifted Broadway actor, a dynamic inspirational speaker who shares his message of healing, empowerment, and freedom with audiences around the world. He has starred in some of the most celebrated and spectacular shows in American theater history, such as Smokey Joe's Cafe, Jesus Christ Superstar, and The Lion King. Charles has reenacted the lives of social and civil rights icons. He brought his show here about Martin Luther King Jr. It was just exquisite. He guest stars in television and film, and he's done an extensive amount of work as a voiceover artist. Charles continues to pursue his vision of creating community through his annual tour of universities, spiritual centers, and correctional facilities. He's one of those ones who stays on the road a lot. A multi-talented artist, Charles's debut album, I Am, garnered rave reviews and was followed by the new classic, Rushing Over Me. His first book, Intuitive Rebel, recounts his journey from small town Tennessee to the bright lights of Broadway, to his inspirational awakening that led him onto the path of self-discovery. His second book, Between Me and Dad, A Journey Through Forgiveness to Freedom, is scheduled for release coming up soon. So be on the lookout for that. My brother Charles, he's going to give us a wonderful rendition that I have requested. Specifically, it's by Ricky Byers.
Yes. Thank you, Reverend Deborah. You were tapping on my head. Is there something that I didn't do right? Something that I need to know? Something that I need to write? You were tapping in the nighttime, tapping all day long. Maybe you just want to hear a sweet song. Do you just want me to sing again? Hey, hey, ooh. You were tapping on my heart. Tell me, what is the plan? Tell me how to heal my mind. Tell me how to walk this land. You are tapping in the nighttime. You're tapping all day long. Maybe I am the song of freedom. Am I the voice of so many men and women and children who love one another, men and women and children who sing for the rivers, men, women and children who sing for the mountains, men, women and children who sing for the hungry, men, women and children who sing for the dying men, women and children who care for all people, men, women and children. I sing for all people. I sing for all people. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 oh. You are tapping on my head. Must be something that I'm doing right. But more than I need to know, more than I need to ride. You're tapping in the nighttime, tapping all day long. Maybe you just want to hear the sweet song. Do you want me to live again? Live again, live again. Maybe you just want to hear the sweet song. Do you want me to heal? I'll heal again. Baby, you just want to hear the sweet song. Do you want me to fly? Spread my wings and fly again. Yeah. Maybe you just want to hear the sweet song. Do you want me to give again? Yeah. Give again. Oh, oh, oh. Forgive again. Love again. Heal again. Oh, forgive again. Give again. Oh, 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 oh. Love again. Heal again. Forgive again. Give again. Give again. Heal again. Live again. Maybe you just want to hear the sweet song. Do you want me to live again?
Oh, Charles, thank you. Whew. Can you just feel that vibrating deep down within your soul? Just want to breathe that in. Our theme this month is abundance, and my topic today is living in plenitude. Living in plenitude. I want to start the month, as I often do, with a definition about abundance. You can look up Webster's, and you can look up in your Google searches and all of the rest of that. But I want to share with you a spirit definition. I get these downloads about the spiritual qualities as embodiments of who it is that we really, really are. And these spirit definitions always come as a formula. And the formula talks about something that we have to bring to the table. There's some activity that we do with this thing that we bring to the table that meets something that's already here. There's something that spirit already is in the universe that we're just missing. We can't see it because we are not fully bringing this particular thing to the table that we need to bring. And when we bring it to the table and we can see what's here by this activation of whatever this is that we're being asked to do, then we can live in the full embodiment of that spiritual quality. It's not like we have to chase after it. It's already there. We just don't see it. We just don't experience it. So it describes abundance as this. It says abundance is where. And I want to just stop right there, because we tend to make the spiritual qualities about a when. When localizes it. And particularly around abundance. When is it going to happen? I know I'll be abundant when this thing happens, when that thing happens. The spiritual qualities, abundance, it's not a when, it's a where. Abundance is an energy field. It is an activity that is non-localized. It says abundance is where. It's where. Your identity. It's going to stop right there. Your identity. What we're needing to bring to the table here and shift and move around is our identity. Our identity. Our identity is an internal something. Okay. Your identity is not about an external set of facts. Your identity is not about all the things that are going on and happening in the outer world. Your identity is what you think about you. Your identity is how you define yourself. Your identity is about what do you think that you are connected to. Your identity becomes about your essence. So this thing that's needing to shift, this thing that we're needing to work on, this thing that we're needing to bring to the table in terms of abundance is our identity. That's usually the last thing that we bring. We're bringing our worry. We're bringing our skill sets. We're bringing our jobs. We're bringing our plans, our strategies, our collaborations, our bank accounts, our resources, our money. We're bringing all of these other things to the table, trying to get abundance, and we're not bringing the thing that we need to bring the most, which is our identity. Just let that soak in for a moment. It says abundance is where your identity resides. So I'm going to stop there for a second. What does it mean to reside? To reside is to live somewhere. To live somewhere. So no matter where it is that you're traveling around in the universe, or no matter what it is that you're doing, there's some place that you reside. Even if it's not a house, even if you are homeless at the moment, you may be residing in a park or on the street. But we're all residing someplace. And the thing about this residence, okay, your residence isn't just where you sleep. It's where all your stuff is. Your residence is that place where you touch base. The residence is where you keep going back to as your touchstone. What is the base of your identity? What is your touchstone? What is it that you use to keep reminding yourself of who you are? What is that for you? It says abundance is where your identity resides. In my completeness, Abundance is where your identity resides in divine completeness. Does your identity reside in completeness? You know, my mentor, the Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith, always taught us that the only thing that ever needs to be healed is just the sense of separation. It's just a sense. It's not even real. It's just a sense of separation. And what happens with this sense of separation is that we get into a feeling of not enoughness. Not enoughness. That there's something that's missing. We don't even necessarily know what it is. But this sense that I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, I'm not good looking enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not this thing enough, or I'm not that thing enough. It's like, no, that's a lie. That's the lie that the ego tells itself. And with this ego lie, it gets us off. And it starts having us try to look outside of ourselves, to people, places, and things, to try to get the fulfillment that we think that's missing from people, places, and things. But there's nothing missing. You are complete, just the way that you are. Breathe that in for a moment. You are complete, just the way that you are. There is nothing missing. See, abundance isn't a number. Abundance is a knowing. Abundance is a perspective. Abundance is a way of seeing things. It doesn't matter how much you physically have in your possession. If your identity, if you still think that you are not enough, it doesn't matter how much you have, you will still feel incomplete. If you win the lottery, but you still feel like a person who's insufficient, you're just going to be a poor person with a lot of money. I know in my own life, I used to get tripped up a lot. And I wanted to be abundant, but there were all these signs that are always saying that it couldn't be me for whatever reason. Because of my race, because of my gender, because of my sexual orientation, because of whatever. There was always these reasons. And I spent so much of my life trying to prove myself. I spent so much of my life trying to overcompensate. I spent so much of my life trying to earn it and to try to make sure that I was doing all the right things or working hard or whatever that stuff was. And it was so hard for me to understand that this thing about abundance isn't about what we do. It's about who we be. That ultimately it wasn't about being validated by the outside. It ultimately wasn't about getting permission from other people. It wasn't ultimately about other people handing me a bunch of stuff or providing a bunch of stuff, but ultimately it was about how I felt about me. We live in an affirmative universe. And it just says yes. It just says yes to whatever it is that we believe. It just says yes to whatever it is that we think about. So if you tell yourself, I'm not enough, the universe is like, okay, that's the order that you put in. Let me make sure all of these things happen to fulfill that order. If you walk around saying, I am enough, then the universe says, okay, let me help create all the circumstances and the conditions that are going to affirm that. It's just extraordinary. I had a hard time really believing that it was an abundant universe. And then I finally got it. It is an abundant universe. That even when I was thinking lack and limitation, there was an abundance of that. Just let that sink in for a moment. That even when I was thinking that I wasn't enough, I was thinking that abundantly. Everything multiplies. Everything grows. Our life experience is not what happens to us, it's how we name what happens to us. How do you name your life? What do you say about you? I had a hard time when I first got into metaphysics believing this thing, that we are already perfect, whole, and complete. And the realization of that becomes greater to me day by day by day. That when we say you're perfect, we don't say that you're without any kind of flaw or blemish. What we're saying is that there isn't something fundamentally wrong with you. That who you are is fundamentally okay. That you're whole. This is something that Jesus kept trying to tell us. And I grew up in a tradition that was telling me that I wasn't whole and that I needed Jesus to make me whole, when Jesus was the one saying, I can't do that. I can't do that. That it is the Mother, Father, God, living presence within that makes you whole. That it is the living presence of God within. He called it the Father within. And that Father within me is the same Father that is within you. That even if I'm quote unquote healing you, I'm not really healing you. I'm just facilitating a process that already exists. You brought it with you. He would tell people it is your faith that has made you whole. It is your belief, it is your understanding that you deserve that has made you whole. You don't need to go to somebody or something else to get the wholeness. You already have the wholeness. We're perfect, whole, and complete. There is nothing missing and there is nothing extra. Just let that sink in for a second. There's nothing missing in you. And there's nothing extra. There's nothing that doesn't belong. You may not understand the use for it. You may not like it. You may not even want it. It could be something about your heredity or your background. It could be some circumstance or condition that you went through. It could be something about your personal appearance. It could be about some relationship or something that you've gone through. It could be your sense of trajectory of the future. It doesn't matter what any of that stuff is. Because if we lay it all on the altar, so to speak, I say this all the time, that the universe is this extraordinary, it's like a divine compost pile. that literally everything comes out of the earth and everything goes back into her. Everything comes out of her and everything goes back into her. This is how the universe is. Everything comes out of the divine energy and everything goes back into it. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It only changes form. It's all here. It's all here. There's nothing else that's going to just suddenly appear. It's all here. It's all here. It just changes form. It's like gold. All the gold is already here. It just gets melted down and it's an earring and then it's a coin and then it's a ring but it just shifts and changes. So it is with your life. The universe wants all of you. It wants your skills. It wants your joys. It wants your exasperations. It wants all of your education. It wants all the abuse, the addictions. It wants all of it. And that's part of your richness. It's part of your richness. It takes all of you, and just melts it down like the refiner's fire and reshapes it into something that is a benefit of all, a benefit for all. Abundance is where your identity resides, in the divine completeness, in the divine enoughness. Where do you reside? I'm going to be repeating coming up soon, this coming Wednesday, May 6th, and the following Wednesday, May 13th, my workshop on spiritual sustainability. We go over two parables, and one of the parables that we go over appears at the end of what we refer to as the Sermon on the Mount. It's where the collections of Jesus's teachings, from the Lord's Prayer to the Beatitudes, blessed are they, to the lessons on forgiveness, all of that is right there. And then he ends it with this, where he says, he who takes these words, who hears them and does something with them, is likened to the wise man who builds his house upon the rock. And when the winds and the rains come, the house still stands. But he who hears these words of mine and doesn't do anything with them is likened to the foolish man who builds his house upon the sand. And when the winds and the rains come, great is the fall of the house. We're going to be going extensively into that parable. It's not just a construction story. But this house that he's talking about is the metaphor for where we live. Where do we live? And are we building this house on the temporal, the transitory, the world of people, places, and things that's always shifting like sand? Or are we building it upon the solid rock of truth, the immutable things that don't change? And I remember this one spirit letter that I got, and it's the only letter in decades that's ever said this particular thing. Why do you keep asking me? Why do you keep asking me why this thing is happening in your life and that thing is happening in your life? You built it on shifting sand. What exactly do you need to know more about sand to understand that it shifts? Come on, my reverend daughter. What else can I tell you about sand? What else do you need to know about sand to understand that it shifts? It doesn't matter what you thought you were building in it. It's sin. Why do you keep asking me this? And I got a message. The letter that I got after church last Sunday, actually it was in the evening. And it ended with this that I thought was so beautiful. It said, you know, I don't even want you to build your own house on the rock. I want you to dwell in my house. Just breathe that in for a moment. Dwell in my house. My favorite scriptural passage is the 23rd Psalm. And it ends with, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever and ever. It's kind of become a joke around here in Inner Light when I say, you know, you need to watch what you pray for. As I seem to be spending all my days and nights in this house, like in this center at this church. But you know, that's not the real house of the Lord. The great I am, the Elohim. It's a place of consciousness. It's a place of consciousness. And what I know is that when I dwell there, when I really know I dwell there, when I really let that be my identity, I am living in the plenitude. I am living in the abundance. Every place that I turn, I can see the magnificence. Every place I turn, I can see the beauty. Every place that I turn, it feels like my coffer just keeps getting more and more and more full. I invite you to live there, to let your identity, your home, be the spiritual enoughness that is the truth of your nature. Now, let's just breathe that in. Let's breathe it in. And we pray in this moment for that shift of awareness. We know that our prayer is not about making something happen in the external realm. Our prayer is the shifting of our own internal consciousness into the acceptance and the reality that it's already so and done. Thank you, Mother, Father God, for showing up. You're always there. You don't just rush in. You're omnipresent. You are omnipresence itself. You are everywhere, and you are living and moving and having our beings. We're in you. And when I say show up, I'm talking about all of the glorious ways in which you manifest, all the glorious ways in which you use that divine alchemy to respond to our daily needs, that bread from day to day. Thank you for being all needs met, for healing of the body temple, for reconciliation, for being divine order and right action, for being financial sustenance, opportunities, for being everything. We love you. We live in you and we abide in you. Life is good. And we just get out of the way and let the goodness roll. And so it is. Amen.
I am moving to the rhythm of the Holy Spirit. Oh, what a song God is singing I will listen all day long. I will listen all day long. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah.
Thank you, Charles. Oh, let's just breathe that in. And now is that opportunity. It's that opportunity. we used to always say, put your money where your mouth is. Now is that opportunity for us to demonstrate, to live this place of abundance, to be a divine giver of life. Now is our time to share our gifts and our tithes and our offerings. And you know, the most important thing is that you be a channel, because we receive with the same graciousness with which we give. I want to say thank you to all of you who, even through all of these really tough economic times, have continued to give on a monthly basis. And I encourage everybody to take that opportunity to, we call it a pledge, but it's just, even if it's a small amount, some of you tithe there as an auto tithe. It really makes a difference in terms of us being able to sustain. If you want to make a one-time donation right now, you can go to paypal.me/Innerlight Ministries. Paypal.me/Innerlight Ministries. You can also text it if you want to do it that way. You can text to 831-667-5051. You'll see it on your screen. 831-667-5051. And there are so many of you, I'm very touched, who have been getting your stimulus checks from the government and sending in tithes from your stimulus checks. Thank you so much for that. We really, really appreciate it. Inner Light is in the hopper as a business, and we'll see if any of that comes our way. I am grateful to the bank and our lenders for cutting us a little bit of slack and giving us a little bit of reprieve for a couple of months from payments, and even to our staff who very generously has taken a pay reduction to make sure that we could make it through these times. We are determined that we are not going to let anybody go, but we're literally making it on whatever it is that's coming in online right now. So we say thank you for all of those contributions. We want to remind you that you can always get prayer, always get prayer. Just email us at the letter 4 prayer@innerlightministries.com. You can call our number 831-465-9090 at extension 254. That's the prayer line, and somebody will get to you. There are interesting things that are going on. Tomorrow I am participating. I'm going to be kicking off a 4-part series. Part 1 is going to be tomorrow. I believe it's around 10 o'clock or so. You can check the information there. It's that Pacific Daylight Time. It's called Shelter in Faith. It's this exquisite offering that's put together by the Watsonville Library in conjunction with the Santa Cruz libraries. And the first one is going to be about crisis and recovery. These are voices from different faith communities that take a look at from different perspectives and practices, and it's designed to really help us through these very challenging times. And I'm pleased to be a part of that panel tomorrow in Sheltering in Faith. I also mentioned that I'm repeating my spiritual sustainability workshop coming up this coming Wednesday on May the 6th, as well as May the 13th. And you can register at paypal.me/Rev Deborah L. Johnson. That information is on our website. You can also find that on social media. It is a repeat of the workshop that I did a couple of weeks ago. I heard from many people that they were upset that they did not know about it in enough time. So I'm doing it again to make sure that it is available. Our food bank is open. That's free food open to anybody on Thursdays. It's Thursdays at noon at our center, 5630 Soquel Drive. We can always use more volunteers, but we pump out thousands of pounds of food every single week. And in these times, people really, really need it. And we appreciate everybody who comes to help with that. You can get a little morning juice. We have a coffee chat that happens Monday through Saturday at 11 a.m. It's via Zoom, put on by our practitioners. You can see the link for that. And our Women of Wisdom, our WOW group. These are women 60 plus. Every Thursday, 4:30 p.m. And you can contact Kathy Miles at SC, short for Santa Cruz, Smiles, SCSmiles@Comcast.net. Lots of wonderful things going on. And I am going to invite my brother Charles to come back and give us one of his own original selections that he co-wrote with another one of my favorites out of Agape, Brenda Lee Yeager. Please, Charles.
Thank you, Reverend Deborah. I am. An angel asked me, do you know who you are? The question and the answer is not very far. The song of the sages, the knowledge of the ages is living where you reside. You have the key that unlocks the door to enter in that sacred place you haven't gone before, where deep meets deep, soul to soul. Feel that connection as the truth unfolds. I am. You are, yeah, I am. You are the answer. Yes, you are the key that unlocks the door to freedom and leads you to me. Look deep inside you. Trust the force that guides you. It knows the way. Yeah. There's no separation. We're one and the same. A child of the Creator, known by different names. The Alpha and Omega, the eternal flame that burns deep inside you. Do you know my name? I am. From the mountains to the oceans, I am. From the rocks to the trees, I am. All the stars and constellations, I am. You are. I am. From the mountains to the oceans, from the rocks to the trees, I am. All the stars and constellations, I am. You are, yeah. I'm spiritual and mystical. I am mystical, yeah. I am love. And you live in me from the very low to the heavens above. I am. There's no separation, we're one and the same. A child of the Creator, known by different names. The Alpha and Omega, the eternal flame. It burns deep inside you. Do you know my name? I am from the mountains to the oceans. I am from the rocks to the trees. I am all the stars and constellations. I am, you are. I am peace that passes all understanding. I am the joy that's overflowing. I am the love in abundance. I am, you are. I am.
Woo! Thank you, Charles. Thank you. That's an amen if I ever heard one. Let us take this consciousness and multiply it. See you next week for Mother's Day. Namaste.